All right, what we're working with today is solving systems of equations using substitution. So we've done graphing, and graphing, a one solution is when they cross, a no solution is when they're parallel, and an infinite solution is when there's only one line. So now when we're using an algebraic method like substitution, one solution, you're going to get an x equals and a y equals. For no solution and infinite solutions, this is when your variables are going to be gone. They cross off. And so a no solution is your variables are gone and you get a false statement. And an infinite solution is when your variables are gone, but you get a true statement. Usually what you're going to get is you're going to get 0 equals 0. Remember, a lot of times people try and say that if I have a problem like this, it's a no solution, but I still have a number in front of this x, so it's not a no solution. I'll be able to divide and get 0, okay? This is not a no solution. A no solution is when your variables are gone. All right, so there's some steps that I'd like you to remember that will help you do this, and we'll use those steps, and you'll see why they're a little helpful. Okay, so the first one is you need to pick a variable to work with. I always choose a coefficient of 1. If you don't have a coefficient of 1, it's just going to make the problem a lot harder and probably give you fractions, and none of us like to work with fractions, so we avoid it when we can. What I also do is I'm going to circle whatever it is. You have to excuse the noise. I have dogs that are going crazy. So I'm going to do one of these. It's going to be x equals or y equals. So if I look at this first one, my y equals here, so I'm going to circle this. Circling does two things. It helps me know what I'm going to plug in, but it's also going to help at the last step. So I'm going to plug this in for y because it says it's y. So I rewrite the first equation, but instead of y, I put parentheses. And this thing that was circled goes in the parentheses. Now right here, you need to stop yourself and ask if there's one variable or two variables. If you still have two variables, you've plugged it in wrong. You should only have one variable after this first step. So now I'm going to do my problem by distributing. I'm going to combine my terms. I'm going to add 4 to both sides and get 27. And then I'm going to divide and I get -3. So that's my first answer. Remember, system of equations is an ordered pair. Well, this is where the circle comes handy because I'm going to come in and plug that into my circle. So y is going to equal -3 times x, -3 minus 2. So that's +9 minus 2. So it's 7. So the circle is helpful for the first step to see what you have to plug in, and for the last step of having to go back in and plug the next number in. Okay, well, number 2 right here, this is my x this time. So since it's x, it's going in for x. So 3 minus y equals 6, and I'm plugging in y minus 2. So now I'm going to distribute, and I know that I'm doing it right because I only have one variable. So I get 2y minus 6 is 6, add 6 to both sides and get 12. So y is 6. That is my second answer right here because it's an xy. And now I'm going to go plug this in. So x is equal to y, which is 6 minus 2. So x is 4. Okay. All right, what I'd like you to do now is I'd like you to try numbers 4 and 5. We're skipping 3 right now. We're going to come back to it because 3 is a little harder. Once you think you have it, press play. Let's see how you did. So the first thing I should have done was plugged in my x minus 4 here. And so now I get -3x plus 3x minus 12 equals -12. Well, a -3x and a +3x is just gone at 0. So I get -12 is equal to -12. Well, that's true. So it's all reals. So that one's done. There's nothing else to do because my variables are gone. For number 5, I should have plugged in y minus 5 for the x. And I know I did it right because I only have one variable in that equation. So I distribute and I get negative 5y minus, positive 5y minus 25 plus 6y equals 8. So I'm going to combine my terms and I get 11y. I'm going to add 25 to both sides and I'm going to get 33. And when I divide, I get 3. So my second answer to this problem is 3. Now I'm going to take this up and I'm going to plug it into what I circled. And so it's going to be 3 minus 5. So it's negative 2. Okay, let's go back up and look at number 3 and see why I said number 3 was different. And if you notice right away, the difference is that none of the equations have an x equals or y equals. But I'm going to make this equation have an x equals or a y equals because this variable doesn't have a number in front. Where's my pen? This is a 1. You want to do that whenever there's a 1. And so this is going to become y equals, to move this over, it would become positive 6x. Now I have a y by itself, and I can plug it in here. So it'll be 3x plus 6 times 6x plus 11 equals negative 12. So I'm going to distribute, and I get 3x plus 36x plus 66 equals negative 12. So I get 39x plus 66 equals negative 12. I'm going to subtract 66 on both sides, and I'm going to get negative 78. And when I divide by 39, I get negative 2. And I'm going to plug that in here. So 6 times negative 2 plus 11, negative 12 plus 11, which is negative 1. And so there's the answer. So you have to take your time on these, and they seem a little hard, but after you do a handful of them, they will actually go by pretty quick. I think the most important step is to circle because it helps, but then your next and most important step is to look here. Oops, I don't want to highlight with green, is to look right here. If you have one variable in that first step, then you've done it right. If you have 2 variables, then you plugged it in wrong.